We ready for some fun?
Ready whenever you are, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our last meeting for February. Please rise, and we're going to get started. If you are joining us virtually, please join us by putting your name in the chat. First off, for the four-way test, Corey, come on down, future president. Corey.
Hello, everybody. Of the things we think, say, or do, first,
Is it the truth?
second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
third,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
and fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
You may be seated now. Next up, Greg Rolfman, past president, is going to lead us in the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, President Chris. We acknowledge that our meeting today is taking place on the traditional homeland of the Puyallup people. We acknowledge that this land was not freely ceded to the settlers who claimed it. We recognize and honor the significance of this land and its waters to the Puyallup people who have lived on and stewarded this land for centuries and continue to do so today. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. And now, if you are a visiting Rotarian or if you are a member with a guest, please rise. And Dean Hanks is going to bring the microphone around and have you introduce your guest or visiting Rotarian yourself and let us know where you're from. I promise he won't make you buy a raffle ticket if he brings the microphone around.
I might. Well, you have 185 tickets. Thank you for everybody in person that's coming. There's still some left.
And you wake up and see parcel delivery, believe it or not, up here. Right? But yes, is my partner in life, Susie Dack.
Hi, I'm Libby Cavaliers from Pierce County, and it's my honor and delight to introduce Duke Paulson from Tacoma Rescue Mission.
Yes, sir. One of the best people in our community. Paulson.
Carol Durris now from Peace Accredited. This is not my guest, but we have a guest here, Amitha. She is self-referred guest, and so I'll let her tell you a little bit about herself. Thank you, Carol.
Hi everyone, my name is Amitha Lonio and I am the Tacoma Public Library Director. I became director last October and was going to introduce myself.
Welcome. Where's our change to? Okay, I'll get to you.
Good afternoon, Kathy Willis here, and I'm pleased to introduce Eric Lynn, who's a former member of our club, and he's thinking about rejoining the club. He's a pastor of Ulster.
Great guy. Here's our exchange students.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ruth Nassali, the exchange student from Uganda, East Africa. Recently, I moved into my third and final host family, and it's been such, they've been wonderful people, and I'm so glad to have met them. And kind reminder, the show that I'm in, Chicago, is opening March 27th through April 6th. Next week is when pre-sale starts, so get your tickets.
Hello everybody, I'm Emil Lemsaichu from Germany. So I'm helping in the long term because in January I had got the flu, so recently I went to the state wrestling tournament. I finished the wrestling season, and soon I'm going to try out for the soccer team at Stadium High School.
Thank you, Dean, for getting everybody with the mic today. Now, let's recognize, do we have anybody in the chat?
It's so lonely in there.
Okay. You can always watch the meeting later if you want to on YouTube as well. Let's go ahead and recognize some Rotarian anniversaries. Now, we had a fireside on February 13th, so we did not recognize our anniversaries for that Thursday. So let's go and recognize Donald Meyer, 25 years. Michelle Johnson, 23. I know I saw you here today. And Harrison Leonard with 11 years. And now for this week, Carol Dixon with 37 years. And Peter Matthew with 7 years. Give a round of applause for all of them. While we're talking about anniversaries and fun things about being in Rotary, Andy's here today, which we haven't seen for a while, but Andy reminded us of something today too, that you can do a Paul Harris or Art Wickens Fellowship whenever you want to. And Andy today, in Susie Diamond's name, did both an Art Wickens and a Paul Harris Fellowship. So, give a round of applause for that. And then you can recognize if you'd like to. So we will be doing our pin ceremony later on in the quarter, but thank you so much, Andy, for making that happen today. Now, Amita and Wayne Williams. Is Wayne here today, Amita? Oh, no. That's okay. Come on up, Amita, because we're going to get a paid announcement from the Tacoma Public Library today.
Again, I can't promise to be as charming as Wayne, but I will do my best to represent for both of us. So, as I said, I'm the new director for Tacoma Public Library. I just started in October. I served as the deputy director for the last 6 years. So just wanted to come and introduce myself. Wayne is my counterpart and is the president for our growing Tacoma Public Library Foundation, which is really exciting. They are sort of an emerging fundraising partner for the library. So I just wanted to take a moment to say that if you haven't visited one of our branches, we have 8 locations throughout the city, please do. Really want to say, if you want to come visit our newest renovated branch, the main library, there are so many incredible things to check out. We have a modernized, children's area, really great play structures. We have a maker space that's free for all ages. We have a teen area with video gaming. We have a second floor teaming with creative partners who help with hands-on learning. So I hope that you'll come join us. And in the next few weeks, you'll see one of our foundation's annual campaigns called Library Giving Day. So be on the lookout for that online, and if you have questions, come find me.
I keep driving by the downtown branch. I'm like, go in there and see it since it's reopened. Let's see here. We have something fun that we get to do today, and that's something we hope we will do a lot of over the next few weeks and months. That's introducing new members. So Jim Thomas, if you can come up here, please, and introduce Kim Thomas to us all today.
It's a nice time. So Ken, you want to come up? Jessica shamed me last time because I spoke about her when she wanted to talk about herself. So today I'm just going to introduce Ken Thomas, who lives here in Tacoma, was chief of police at Kent in Des Moines, and a longtime Rotarian from the same area I came from. But I'm going to let Ken speak.
All right, well, thank you, Jim, especially for encouraging me to get back involved with Rotary. I think it was about in 2007 when I started Rotary at the Kent Sunrise Club. I'm a past president of that club, and just have some lifelong friends that I still have today and do a lot of stuff with from that club. It's just, so I was pretty excited when Jim reached out and encouraged me to get back involved. Now that I'm retired, I retired about 1.5 years ago. And as Jim said, I live over in Northeast Tacoma, Browns Point area. And after 35 years of law enforcement, 30 at Kent. I left Kent, I was the chief there for about 7 years, and then I went to Des Moines and was the chief there for my last 5 years. I also served as the president of the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs, so I was pretty involved. And then, gosh, retirement hits, and what do you do? So about 4 years ago, I started up a video monitored security company that we try to work and take care of commercial businesses and try to help with the property crime issues that go on. So that's been going pretty well. And then finally, I'm married. My wife, Amy, is a dentist in Auburn, and she owns her own practice there. So once again, I want to thank everybody. I'm very excited to be here and be a part of this club. So thank you.
All right, then. Now, as a member of Rotary 8 now, there's a few things. Number one, your official certificate stating that you are a member of Rotary 8. Pass that on to you, Jim. Our book, The Eighth Wonder, the Rotary Club of Tacoma number 8, goes up through 2010, which was our 100-year anniversary. And oddly enough, what are we celebrating today? Our 115th anniversary. We have your badge for you right there. We have for Jim a sponsor pin. And we have for you a Rotary pin that we hope you will wear throughout the community. And here's the neat thing. I'll do a pin check right now. You all have a pin on your table. Take it out of the little bag. You all have a pin that you can wear. So this pin check did not do very well because you all have a pin. Now put it on.
Hey, to all of you out there, Ken is a new member today, and he's already put an auction item in the auction. He has a really nice boat, and we're going to host an 8-person Scotch tasting on his boat sometime this summer. So I hope a few of you bid on anything.
Are you intimidating those people who love to like Scotch?
Some.
Maybe, maybe not. Now, Jim, don't you run away, since you're coveting all of Ken's things right now. Jim, please come up. You are one of our sponsors for today, and you're going to talk a little bit about Harvest Against Hunger.
I just need the first slide right there. It's fine. Folks, I know the business conference, I talked about this the last 3 years. So today I am sponsoring again lunch for Harvest Against Hunger. I'm finishing my last of 3 terms, my 9th year on the board, and I'm here to tell you that on your tables, if you could just someone lift up one of those little leaflets. We have our annual event coming up on March 14th. I know the Contes and Diane, they're joining us, Deb and I. I'd love to fill a host table of Tacoma 8 Rotarians at that function. But most of you might ask, what is Harvest Against Hunger? So 40 years ago, UW police chief got a call from a farmer in eastern Washington with a full semi full of potatoes. And so he knew that they were having some hunger issues in the communities around Seattle. So that truckload of potatoes got dropped off in a warehouse on the floor, and they distributed them to what were beginning to be food banks around the area. Here we are 40 years later, still doing the same thing, but numerous other things to help in the food insecurity arena around advocacy, around growing, around farming, around cleaning. So to date, we, that's a $100 penalty right there. To date, we have saved some 300 million pounds going into our dumps through our organization, and created some almost billion meals. And here's an amazing thing about our organization: for 2 cents a meal. Can you get penny candy for 2 cents? No, you cannot. So it's amazing. How do we do that? We are a convener of farmers, truckers, retailers, home growers, and young leaders through AmeriCorps Vista. We do all that by leveraging our small staff of 5 people to produce meals throughout the state. EFN is probably one of our biggest partners, but all the big food banks in the Tacoma area are partners along with us. They rely on us heavily for many things: grants, produce, food in general. So all those efforts you put in the EFM when you're shaking around some frozen veggies and rice and all that, that comes from us. So on behalf of Harvest Against Hunger, thank you for letting me host. But more importantly, folks, please sign up, or at least talk to me today about the potential of coming to our event. $300,000 will be raised, and that all goes 100% into underwriting our operations. Thanks.
And we're back into our special two sponsor rotation. And we want to thank Sally Layton for being our other meeting sponsor for today. Unfortunately, Sally can't be here, but she has donated her time to help us fill out the rest of the meeting. Now, we have a guest this week, and a guest that many of you know, and that is the Tacoma Rescue Mission. We have and continue to provide service above self by assisting with lunch service and most recently, the newly added breakfast service with Tacoma Rescue Mission. So please help me in welcoming Dinesh Haywood to tell us all about that and introduce our other guest as well.
Hi, I'm Dinesh Haywood. I'm with the Tacoma Rescue Mission, and I was going to speak today, but when I told our executive director, Duke Paulson, that we were coming here, he said, "Oh, I just have to go." So I'd like to introduce Duke Paulson to come and share a little bit about the rescue mission.
So I feel really guilty. I don't have to do that. Dinesh, stand up here with me for a sec. So Dinesh has been a member of the South Tacoma Rotary for a number of years and has been involved with Rotary. And so she's been kind of our Rotary lead connection because frankly, I love Rotary, but I don't have the time to be involved. I could give my membership up. But my first Rotary was Tacoma Rotary 8 here. And so some of you, and I know I'm looking around the room, there are people here when I was a 20-year-old kid trying to figure out what's going on. And back then, Rotary was 200 plus people, and so I was kind of sit in the back and eventually moved up to the front. People like Corey keep telling me, come meet this person, come meet that person. And so I do have a pretty long history. I was like, I just want to come because it's part of my roots. So Dinesh is actually still going to be kind of our key contact with the rescue mission and what's going on, but I really want to take this opportunity to talk to you guys today. So thanks for letting me steal your show a little bit. Okay, so my name is Duke Paulson. Real quick about myself, I have a lovely wife, Amy, and 4 kids that are between 17 and 24 now. 3 are in college, 1 went to Miami of Ohio, 1 went to Vanguard University, 1's at Grand Canyon University, and then the 17-year-old's a junior at Curtis High School, and he lives to play sports. So good on you. He has done wrestling and water polo and all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of fun. I came to this community. I grew up in Portland. I came here in the 80s. Bill and I were just comparing that, 89, to go to PLU and then stayed here. And I married a local Geek Harbor girl and never left. And I didn't want to go to Geek Harbor because everyone knew her family, so we settled in Tacoma, and this has been home. It is my privilege to represent the Tacoma Rescue Mission to you guys today. And I realize I'm representing an institution that in this community and with the care and the involvement, there's a lot of contacts you probably have with the rescue mission. It's amazing to me when I stepped into becoming the executive director, the breadth of the impact and the history that the organization has. It's been around since 1912, and it was formed, originally it was called the Tacoma Commons Mission, because it was formed in 1912 as the common mission of the business community, the faith community, and the political leadership of the community. Say, what are we doing to help the common need in our community? And so it evolved into the Tacoma Rescue Mission. At one point, it was the Tacoma Union Gospel Mission, and then it became the Rescue Mission. And so there's just this very long history of partnership in the community that I just get to be a part of continuing today. And really, and that's part of me being able to be here to present to you, to represent that. Our core mission, I'm not going to read this to you. I'm going to summarize it. The core of the mission since 1912 has been to help people who are experiencing homelessness and food insecurity. So hunger and homelessness has been the foundation of the rescue mission since 1912. The other key thing that we've added into that has been also people that are suffering with drug addiction. Now, I'm gonna say this because that's like the founding points of what we do. But quick story, when I took this job, my dad took me out to breakfast and said, "Congratulations on your new job. How are you going to fix homelessness?" Because you must have just given that pitch to get the job. So what are you going to do? And I'm like, "Dad, there's not an easy solution because homelessness is a problem that's a system problem. It's the end catch basin of where there's been problems with family breakdown, financial breakdown, age, disability, past abuse, current abuse, medical issues, legal issues, breakdowns in the system, foster care. It's like there's so many different variables, and the more of those variables you experience, the more likelihood you are to experience not having the social network to help you out. So I'm going to do I'm totally off the script here. Thank you for what you're doing, trying to keep up with me. Little social experience with you guys. Raise your hand if you know someone who has suffered from addiction. All right, thank you. Would you raise your hand if you know someone who's suffered or experienced homelessness at some level? Okay, thank you. Again, over half the room, and this is when I talk to people in the community about this, this is not something, I know people that are some of the most wealthy, influential people in this community, possibly in the state, who've called me and said, "Could you just confirm my brother's still alive?" Or my wife's sibling, we haven't heard from them in years. Can someone on your staff confirm? Have they been around? We just want to know where they are. And the reality is, when I took this job, I got a call from the executive director in Spokane who does this and knew me. He said, "Dude, congratulations on your new position. I want you to know you're going to have some of the highest highs and some of the lowest lows. Be prepared for life-changing stories and death." And I'm like, that is a really weird welcome to this position. And he said, "Well, it's the reality. I've done this for 27 years. This is what you're going to deal with. You're going to see people's lives change and do great things. You're going to see people start to change their lives and fall back. And you're going to see people die because their life wasn't changed." That is absolutely true. We have staff on our team who one of their roles is responding to the Pierce County Coroner's Office when they say we have someone who's a Jane Doe or a John Doe that was identified this week, sometimes several people, and you're our last chance to identify that person's name and notify the family. If you can't tell us who they are, they're going to go into the Pierce County burial ground as an unnamed person, and no one will know they passed away. And a staff that actually take that on as a responsibility, like it's almost an honor to say, "I know who that is. That's Sarah. And we can help find her family." So that's the spectrum of what we deal with. And so a few other things, just talking about it. I just want to set up, here's who we are. Emergency services, housing, addiction recovery are our three pillars. And we'll go to the next slide. We start with food. I appreciate what you just said about food. We're one of the biggest meal providers in the whole area. So we serve 1,000 meals a day, which is, we're open for anyone in the public who needs a meal can come to us. You don't have to stay with us. You can just come in and get a free breakfast or dinner. If you want a lunch, you need to be having services with us. That's our opening, where we build trust with someone. Just like you bring someone to your house and you're going to serve them food. That's where the trust begins. And from there it becomes, will you trust us enough to stay with us? Will you trust us enough to meet with our staff to work on your addiction, or work on recovery, or work on your mental health, or work on reuniting with family, or whatever it is that's causing you to experience homelessness? That's where the shelter comes in. And we run shelter that's open for anyone. So you don't have to have identification. You don't have to have proof of citizenship, anything. If you're a living person that comes into our door and says, "I want to stay here," you can stay there. You can bring an animal. It's a place of safety, no judgment. Just don't use or distribute illegal products. Don't destroy property, and don't threaten anyone. Those are our only 3 rules. Other than that, you can stay here, and we'll work with you on the rest. So ultra low barrier, come in and we'll help you. We also do street outreach, so that's going outside of our shelters. So we have vans that go out every day of the week. We go out during the day and then they go out at night as well. And that's going out to the county, so that's serving Sumner, Bonnie Lake, Fife, into South Federal Way, which we're not supposed to do, but they have no other services, so we do it. Parkland, Spanaway, all the areas, and we go to the encampments and we build relationship with people there. And part of the goal is to say, if you trust us enough, we can come in and stay at our shelter or any shelter. I don't care. I'll take you to Nativity House. We'll take you wherever you want to go. We'll bring you in. But that team actually is so good. We help people leave homelessness every month without ever coming into a shelter because they can do the case management. And if someone's like, I don't want to go, okay, we'll work with you here. And if we can get you plugged in and out of homelessness, we'll do that and you don't have to leave. So this is like beyond the walls, we're still impacting the county. And then the last thing, I can't read it.
Clothing room.
Oh, we distribute a lot of clothes, thousands of pounds of clothes. People donate clothes to us. We distribute, especially through this last couple months, tons of jackets, socks, stuff to keep you warm, blankets. The surplus, you might want to guess this. Guys, how many of you guys, by the time you donate something that's really ratty and has holes and horrible condition, 70% of our population we serve are male. Guys, we get the worst donations from you ever. So we supplement that. We get a whole lot of great stuff from women. There's fewer women. So then we turn around and sell that at our thrift store. And we use that revenue to continue to pay for our addiction recovery program. So, all right, we'll go to the next slide. We do offer housing. Tyler and Jefferson are apartment buildings that we operate for transitional and permanent housing. We have Sound House, which is addiction. So it's a dry house, dry and sober clean housing. So you're living here and accountability for staying clean and sober. And there's a real family approach to this, check-ins and how are we supporting each other. And then finally, the Good Neighbor Village, which is being developed, which will become the largest permanent supportive housing project in the state of Washington. So, one of the very few groups that clap for that. Thank you so much. Addiction recovery is a key part of what we do. We've been recognized as one of the top 10 programs in the state of Washington for our engagement, and here's why it's different. It's not stop being addicted for 30 days. It's not just come stay here and we'll keep you from doing something. It's we'll keep you for 9 to 12 months, and we want to work on changing your mind through counseling, through drug and assisted, through chemical dependency counseling, mental health counseling, and time to re-engage your understanding of your value, your understanding of your ability to get out and work, your connections with your family and friends and the community. And then when you leave, we want you to walk out into a situation where you're working, you have an understanding of why you don't want to go back to this because I have something to live for and I'm engaged in something. And it takes longer than 30 days. So it's unique, it's a zero cost, and it focuses on people who have been homeless and are addicted. All right. Your interview stats, come to our website, we can talk about that. I'd say the one thing I'm going to highlight is, we'll just go next slide. One thing I want to highlight for us that I'm most proud of is over 700 people left the rescue mission this last year to either permanent housing or a full-time job. So 2 people a year, 2 people a day leave the rescue mission services to what we consider to be a permanent solution to leaving homelessness. Now, that's fantastic, and I want to get to 3, and then I'll want to get to 4, and we're going to keep going. At this point, at any given day, under the rescue mission's roof, we have 600 people a night that are staying under our roof and our system of what we're providing. And with the expansion project I'm about to go into, we're going to go to over 1,000 people in the next couple of years. So Grow With Us is talking about that. The next slide talks about we have 3 projects we're doing. One's the Good Neighbor Village, which I'll get to a little more. One is our downtown campus expansion, so our men's shelter primarily, and our addiction recovery program. We're doubling the size of that. And then we also just need to keep up our staff and what we're doing because we're growing so fast. So this is our campaign. Linda Kay can explain all about campaigns, so can Doug. There's lots of people in the room that know about it, the presidents of universities and stuff. So we'll move on. about the Good Neighbor Village. That's too much for y'all to read. Let's skip to the next slide. Sorry, I know there's also a time limit here, so I don't want to talk too much. Let me talk, so I'm going to leave that up. That's a little easier to read. Here's what the village is about. In the spectrum of homelessness, just people talk about this, and I don't think there's a good community understanding. Affordable housing, like the county and others will talk about, we need more affordable housing. Absolutely agree. Affordable housing is fantastic for my staff. When you're paying someone $20 an hour to $26 an hour, they need something to help them. I got a mom with 3 kids, and it's hard to pay $2,100 a month for an apartment and your utilities and all this stuff, and you're only making $44,000 a year. You need some support. And I need that because I need that person to stay here, and they're fantastic in what they do. With, matter of fact, half my staff have lived experience. They've either been abused, addicted, or experienced homelessness, and they're coming back and serving, helping people. That's hard. We're not the highest paying organization. We're working on it. And when I got here 7 years ago, our minimum salary, people in this operating our shelter were getting $11 or less than $11 an hour. Now our minimum salary is 19, and we're going to go over 20 this year, and we're continuing to push this up. But it's a heavy lift in our community, and you do the math and you realize it really fast. That's affordable housing. That doesn't touch homelessness. Homelessness is for the shelter. Our stats, and I follow this, we're really good with people that have been homeless for 2 years or less. The barriers are fewer. The challenges are fewer. We're able to, that 700 some people, a lot of them are coming out of that, and this isn't skimming, we're taking everyone that comes in, but the people that can bounce out within 90 days to a job or to employment, they just haven't been out as long. But let me tell you some of the weird stats that I get to see. 30% of our shelter now, and this has been increasing in a number of years, 30% of our shelter is over 55 years old. 25 is over 60. It's a lot harder for me to say you have 60 days to go get a job, save your, or 90 days to get a job, get your first month's, last month's rent and a down payment and into a place. And you probably only, hopefully, you've got 4 or 5 years left before you're retiring, and now you're going to be on SSI making $700 a month. Those are the, so we're seeing this, and so then I'm going to move into, this is where what we call chronic homeless. So people that are homeless for years at a time. And that then you get multiple, that's where we see a lot of the drug addiction. A lot of the drug addiction is trying to survive just because they're trying to live day to day, or trying to make it through. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm just trying to get there. So the chronic homeless is a whole nother population. No one in the community serves that well. And this is not me disparaging CCS or anyone else in what's going on. It's just the system's not geared well for that. And so our target population that we're building, the units we're building for, and the idea is if we can permanently house people that are 10 years or more homeless, average age 55 and over, they choose to be part of the community, they choose to work, they choose to pay rent. So there's engagement, there's ownership, and there's accountability. Most likely they're going to have at least one physical disability, probably several. Most likely they will have experienced or been diagnosed with a mental health situation as well. Now we're providing housing and a safe place for them to live, and a community for them to live and work and pay a rent and be a part of that has services on site so they can just live there and be served there. Not only does that give them a dignified, beautiful place to live, it frees up 40 beds from my shelter for me to help the people that I'm doing the best with. It also frees up, I'm just being honest, people will talk about this national stats, $35,000 a year for someone chronically homeless is the impact. I'm not saying you're going to save $35,000 a year in taxes. What I am saying is by having this, and this is the police and the fire and others that have looked at this will agree with this, it frees up the services for the people that do need it. So when you go to the emergency room, there aren't 4 or 5 people that are experiencing homelessness that are just trying to stay warm that are taking up space in the emergency room, or 10, or whatever the number is, depending on which emergency room you go to. If it's Good Sam, it's really packed. Same with fire, same with police calls. If they get a call for someone experiencing homelessness and the person's not a threat to themselves or others, they say, we can't do anything. They talk to them for half an hour and then they move on. And then they call for the same person 3 blocks later and they have to show up and they do the same thing. And so now the idea is if they're here and they're safe and the police know, hey, I can take Joe, here's your house, it's the green one, third on the left. Drop you off here, you're supported, you're cared for. Now I can respond quicker when someone else calls and says I have a 911 emergency. So it frees up the system overall in what we're doing. The goal for this village is 285 units, which is about 30% of the chronic homeless in our county. I guess the other thing I should have said is that we know who the people in our county are. So we're not going to get people from Kansas saying, I just want to come live here, because we've been tracking all the people for years through the county database, through our database, through accountability with others. So we know, oh yeah, you've been here for 8 years in Pierce County, bouncing back and forth. Let's get you in here and get you taken care of. This is a picture in Austin of some of the houses that they have. The houses are meant to be 3 and 4 square feet, have a dining room, a kitchen, a bathroom, a living space, a bedroom. So actually a house, not a 90 square foot shed with a bed and a chair. Just the difference between a cottage and a tiny home is something I want people to kind of get to. All right, next. I'll try and save time to answer questions. I'm going through a lot real quick, but that's the village. And if you're wondering where that is, that map showed it's at 176 and Spanaway Loop Road. So if you're going down past PLU and you go down Spanaway Loop Road, I've always wondered why you have to take a left there. Wow, you're good. Way to be on top of that. I always wondered why you have to take a left and there's a light there where the cross-face highway was going to go, but they couldn't. Turns out there was a single landowner that owned a house right there. So you'd come in and he'd wind around, that was his land, and this was all his land. So we bought the land, and the reason it was hard to develop is because there's all those wetlands in the front. And so it would cost millions of dollars to cross those and environmental impacts and such. But as we're looking at it, that top right corner where there's a little pocket there and a road coming in, simultaneously as we were looking at it, someone called me and said, hey, you're looking at property up there. My aunt just died and her estate, her house is in horrible condition. We're just trying to get rid of it. Would you be interested in buying it? I called our engineers and said, heck yeah, because now we can get in and we don't touch any of the wetlands and we can get to the back, which is buildable. And the back part of that property is elevated away from the wetlands, completely developable, and saved us millions and millions of dollars of having to figure out wetland mitigation, because now we're not touching any environmental impact at all in this project. So just fun where we're at. Downtown campus, a lot of words. Let me just say this. Our downtown campus was built back when the convention center was going in Tacoma. They said, hey, let's move. That's where the rescue mission used to be. We used to be down by the old city hall. Then they moved us to another location down where the convention center was. And then they went to build a convention center. So they said, let's move more to South Tacoma Way because there's a bunch of people that are homeless down there. And so they gifted us land. We built the rescue mission. We're still there. If you went into our bathroom right now, it looks like my gym locker room back in the 80s. It's basically a concrete wall with like shower heads sticking out of it. That's it. And a whole bunch of bunk beds in the middle. Looks like a 1970s dorm sleeping porch where just put a bunch of guys in and save money. Not very dignified, not a great situation. It was built at that time with the maximum capacity of 60 people, and we thought we were going to solve homelessness. When the pandemic hit, we had 240 people a night staying there. On freezing cold nights, we still have over 200. Our capacity officially is 80 people. And we stretched to 90 with the fire department by opening another area. In order to get to that extra area, we literally clear every day. We'll clear the kitchen, we'll clear the dining room, we'll clear our open space where people come to meet, and we put cots out and mats out and let people come in and stay there. Because you don't want to turn someone away. My son tells me my job sucks because he's been there when we do roll call. And he's like, Dad, people at the end, when you say the beds are open, if you didn't hear your name, where do they go? I'm like, well, they're priority for tomorrow night. They're like, but where do they go tonight? It's like, I don't know, but we don't have space. So we're expanding the campus. We're doubling the capacity of our addiction recovery program and our men's shelter, and we're tripling our bathroom capacity because we only have the showers I talked about. We only have 5 toilets. So picture that many people in the lineup just to get to 5 toilets. Not a great situation. So, just being honest, we want to treat people with dignity. So we're also doing this new bed system, so we're getting away from bunk beds. The reason for that is every bed has, sorry, I'll be loud. Every bed has its own locker. You have a private space where you're not seeing everyone around you. You have a cubby hole up here where you have electrical outlet, charge your phone, light, etc. For people, again, older population, there's 4 steps, and up here there's another bed, and over there's another bed. So you see someone across from you, but that's it. But you don't have to climb ladders. You actually have a place you can sit down and put your shoes on without sitting on the lower person's bunk bed, stuff like that. But just being more sensitive to people and creating a much better flow of space. And if you want to come by and look at it, we've got an example in our women's shelter, which we opened in 2020, and you can see the difference in the dignity of that. How to get involved? We live on volunteers. So I have a fantastic staff. We have over 80 hours a day of volunteers that come in and help us with the rescue mission. We couldn't provide the food. We couldn't do the stuff we do. We couldn't maintain it if we didn't have our volunteer community. People donate goods. We give out thousands of pounds of stuff every week. We sell the surplus at our thrift store. That's a great way for people to give. We also do take donations, and if you want a tour, talk to Denise or go online and we'll get you one. So that's the end of my presentation. I just said a lot quickly. I don't know if I have time for any questions. Dean? Okay. I know I did that intentionally because I want to get out there and then ask me questions, and I'll tell you what honestly, anything you want to know.
Thanks, Duke. It's good to see you.
I just discovered, I could have done my own slides?
Maybe.
Thank you. I even have like a laser point. Oh, man. I'm sorry, I'm behind on the technology thing. It's hidden right here. Go ahead, Corey.
Duke, just real quick before we get, what's the timeline on the neighborhood village? I know it's in process, but
Yeah.
a lot of starts and stops, but you're doing great heavy lifting.
Yeah, so we are cleared. We've passed our environmental hurdles. We're waiting on permitting. Anyone that's development probably knows how that goes. We're waiting on the county to give us permits. We are lined up and ready to go to put our roads, sewer, water, all that stuff in, and have been for the last 60 days waiting for permits. Our timeline, if we get the permit soon, would be to finish all the infrastructure by fall. And then this is actually a great infrastructure point. We received $21.5 million from the county as a partnership for this project. And we promise we'll maintain this for at least 30 years for people that are homeless, and we plan to do it longer than that. I just won't be here. We will, that $21 million has purchased property and will pay for the infrastructure and all the roads and sewer and stuff. And then that'll get us to the first few home plats. And then we're really coming back to the community to help us build the houses. Go ahead.
Duke, thank you so much for your presentation today and your leadership at the rescue mission and your advocacy in all these areas. I have 2 questions. Number 1, I'm wondering what the top reasons are from your perspective why people don't leave their tents, the people who are living in tents, and come to the rescue mission, assuming that you've got the capacity.
Yeah.
And number 2, I'm wondering about the vans that go out and visit the homeless encampments. And are those all staff, or are there any volunteers?
Yes. So let me do the second one first. The vans go out, they are staffed, but during the day, they're staffed by people that are case managers, professional social workers. We partner with the police department and the multi-care and the other providers. That's really like a professional triage group. In the evening, we have people go out. Those are also led by a staff person or a volunteer with hundreds of hours of experience. And those are actually more volunteer driven. And the evening is we're not trying to fix problems. At that point, we're more saying, you're cold, here's a cup of noodles, here's some socks. We're building a relationship. And I would say that's almost the relationship building side, because we want people to, when they see our van, to know it's safe to come to us. And then when we come in during the day, they still come to us, and then they trust us to receive services. And I'm gonna use that first because it goes to your second point. The hardest part in this is building trust. It has to be relational. There's nothing transactional in what we're trying to do. The homelessness to me is not answered by just build a home and someone will be there. The people that I have the most arguments with right now are developers. Because they're like, dude, I mean, I've had Sound Built Homes, I've had other groups come in like, we can help you build this village, we'll have it up by June, maybe July. Like, we already know, I've got mass manufacturing, we can do this, I can have your 300 homes, we'll drop them in, you'll be done. And I'm like, nope, not gonna do it. And I had someone leave real mad at me. Scott Walker was like, gosh, yeah. And here's why. A couple reasons. One, we want the partnership with the community. We want the community to come in and help us do this and be engaged. The whole point of this is it's going to be a fantastic, beautiful place for people to live and for the community to come in and work on our, in our, garden and partner with us in what we're doing. But more importantly, I'm going to use the example of the women's shelter when we opened it. We were opening a shelter for single women. We did an assessment. There was only 50 beds for single women in all of Pierce County. So we were opening this new shelter with 75 beds. For months prior to the opening, we had women coming saying, when's that open? How do I get on the list? How do I get in? And it's depressing to keep saying, not yet, not yet, not yet. It was really depressing at the very end because we're just waiting for like the elevator permit and occupancy permit from the city. And it was 2020 and neither inspector would come because they're like, oh, we can't come out to a place with a lot of people. It's COVID, we can't do that. So we were just hammering. We finally got a buddy of mine old Young Life kid who came out who said, I'll approve both of these. So we did. I got that at 2 o'clock, told my staff, and so we had 18 women show up that night saying, can I get in? And then I left. It was awkward being the guy at the women's shelter, like, okay, hey, good to see you guys. And then I walk out. The next morning I came up so excited, I'm like, how did it go last night? And our staff person's like, really quiet. I'm like, great, that's awesome. She's like, no. I'm like, why? And she's like, well, we only had one person stay. And I'm like, but we had so many people there last night. She's like, yeah, they loved it. They loved the tour, the showers, the facilities, the beds. Everyone had a custom quilt. It was beautiful. And then the questions started coming. And the questions were things like, I have an appointment at 2 a.m. that I have to go to. Can I leave and come back? And our policy is no, once you're here with us, we want you to stay with us. We want to provide service for you in the morning. And we're not a just come back and forth place. And someone else, well, my boyfriend isn't going to know where I am. And so if I don't check in, what's going to happen to me? Or there's this guy who's pursuing me, and is this place really going to be safe? If I stay here, is he going to find me? And everyone had this list of questions and concerns, and everyone got scared and left. The only lady that stayed, the only reason she stayed is because on the tour, she actually sat down on a bed and fell asleep sitting up. And so the ladies who were there, literally like you do with your 2-year-old, like they laid them down and put a blanket over them. When she woke up in the morning, she panicked and freaked out because all of her arrangements for safety and security were suddenly invalid because she had stayed somewhere else tonight. And she was terrified. The next night, we didn't have anyone stay. Then the next night, we had one person stay. It took us months to get to the double digits of people staying the night. Not because there wasn't need. We're full every single night now in the women's shelter. And we have people asking, like, for single women, that there's just this population that was just unseen. The trust had to be built. And it took us months and months and months to build it. Now to say to and that's just single women, all kinds of stuff. And we, again, it's crazy stories of people who have been professors at UW that have stayed in our women's shelter. Now we're asking people to make this jump from years, in some cases decades of being homeless, to say, I'm gonna live here, and you've got a list of rules I have to follow, and I have to pay rent, and you're gonna give me a job, and my job's gonna be what? Well, it could be doing laundry, it could be helping clean the walkways, it could be cleaning the showers, it could be working at the farm. We've got a whole list of stuff, but it's scary, and it's a commitment. So we're gonna have a relationship challenge that we're gonna go slow and build it, and that becomes the trust in the community, because when I visit in Austin, I was blown away because I was the guest there, And people that lived there were proud to show me, hey, come on, after your tour, stop by and meet my dog. And I go talk to them, and they're like, I was homeless for 15 years, and then my wife died, and then I started drinking, and no longer, I couldn't be a trucker anymore, and then I ended up homeless, and you hear this whole story, and he's like, but I've been living here for 4 years now, I'm so proud. Yeah, I got a question back.
Yeah, I'll take a quick one. Can you speak a little bit to the issue of community and why it's important for groups of homeless people to be together in community as you plan for the Good Neighbor Village?
Yeah, so I believe by nature we're people that thrive in community. There are independent people, and there are, to maybe answering your question further, Corey, there are people who will never want to come in because they're like, nope, I'm on my own. I want to live on my own. I want nothing to do with community. I'm a completely independent individual. But by nature, people tend to congregate together. And I see it all the time where we're staying together for a little safety or a little bit of trust. Not a lot of trust. You're going to steal my stuff if I don't watch it, but at least I'm a little safer with you than alone. And that's what a lot of it comes down to, is that there's a safety. And when I do build a little bit of trust, we've been living around each other enough that I kind of know you. And then you build community. And for people that live in an encampment for months, it becomes a community. We know each other, and we feel safer with each other. And I might actually trust you're not going to steal my stuff if I turn my back, at least for a little bit. So it's hard, and I can tell you it's crazy. Again, I'm talking about the most vulnerable preyed on population. Not maybe the most. There's sex trafficking and stuff that's really, really ugly. But when there was the large encampments under the ridge and the city was going in to clean that up and stuff, the guy who was running that, who was kind of like the mayor of the town, lived somewhere else. He'd drive in and he did the trafficking and the dealing, and he controlled what happened because he was the biggest gangster that could control stuff. And suddenly I've got a population of 50, 60, 70 people that I can manipulate and use. And they're vulnerable to that because what are they going to do? Like, someone's arm's going to get broken if I don't change. We have people that we were getting I'm sorry, Jan. Yes, great question. Long answers to short questions. The community was getting upset because we had so many people around the rescue mission that were camping around us. And until 2 weeks ago, that was a real issue. And it's a combination of, we don't control the property around us. We've got Sound Transit on one side, we've got Pierce County, we've got Tacoma Public Utilities, we've got county right-of-way under the bridge, etc. And we can't enforce people not being there. Those entities have to do it. And none of them wanted to take the hit publicly to do it. But it's really, my staff deal with a lot of trauma. It's hard when you have someone come through the food line for dinner and say, can I get 4 meals? And why do you need 4 meals? Like, we give 1 meal per person. Well, I need 4 meals because they're holding my dog up the street, and if I don't go back, they're gonna hurt my dog. Do you need a 5th meal for you? Yeah, that would be great. Can I get 5? Sure. That's the kind of manipulation that can happen. And also the earnestness of someone who's like, I'm just trying to survive. What do you do? So, it's a very volatile, complex situation. And so we're trying to find the best way to handle this with as much dignity and care as we possibly can.
For all of our speakers, we ask that you put something inspirational in the front of the book, and we're going to put it in one of the little free libraries around town.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Big time for Duke, everybody.
All right, now, it's our 115th anniversary. I think we have a little slideshow that's going to kick in. There is cake in the back, ready to be eaten during this slideshow. So what we encourage you to do is grab some cake, sit back, and take a look at 115 years of Rotary 8 in our community. Thank you, David and Kathy, for working on this.
Clock ticking, think of you, turning
Flashback to warm nights, almost left behind. Suitcase of memories, time after sometimes you picture me, I'm walking too far ahead. You're calling to me, I can't.
It's going through. Can anybody tell me the second club before us?
Los Angeles, Seattle.
No.
The second hand.
Oakland.
Yep.
Oakland.
If
No.
you're lost, you
Oh, Oakland is one, I'm sorry, yeah.
and you'll find me.
East Coast cities.
Boston.
New York and Boston. There you go, there's the seven clubs
If you
before us.
fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I will be waiting time after after your picture fades, darkness has turned to
As the president, I get to choose where some of our money goes that we raise in the auction. And so I said, why don't we raise money to build a house in partnership with Habitat for Humanity? I was thrilled at the opportunity to develop this and then turn that over to Linda K. Briggs, who is our president now.
Being an American, you've heard about Habitat for Humanity for a long time. And certainly Rotary's been around for a long time. It's very exciting for me to see people having lunch on a Thursday and on a Friday be pulling wheelbarrows full of rocks. That is about the top of it can be an engagement. Gil, you're by far the most popular Rotary member on these bills. You know why?
Why? Because I cook food.
Because you cook, that's
And
fine.
help yourself to burgers.
Yes, the 3 requirements for home ownership are, we already talked about one of them. Sweat equity is one of them. The other 2? Employment, right? Income, yeah, 30 to 80% of the area median income. So that's for a family of 4 in Pierce County, that's between about 25,000 and 59,700. Put in everybody who owns a Habitat home. Part of what they agreed to is they agreed to doing hours working for. Stacey Ogle and I'm spending yet another day here at Habitat, the house that Rotary built. And the question, why do I enjoy doing this? One reason is because I learn something every single time I'm here. And to the trial work that I just did, I've spent time with Rotarians that I've been in the public for 10 years, and I get to know them at Habitat built. So this is one of my favorite service opportunities with Rotary. And we are so excited about building this home for someone that served in our military.
Outside, and DuSable High School, my alma mater,
and went to the Navy after graduating. And I was on the USS Enterprise, 2 years enlistment. And ever since I've been out of the Navy, my first goal has been to buy a house.
And your house here was sponsored by Rotary Club 8 of Tacoma. They specifically wanted to be able to help a veteran. Meet Lewis Perry and
Hello, Mark.
both Navy guys. Both Navy guys.
Brothers in arms.
I understand you were on aircraft carriers?
Yeah, Mark, I was on the USS Enterprise.
Oh,
Yeah.
the Enterprise. Oh, well, I was in submarines.
I always thought that the guys in the submarine were really high intelligent people.
Is that true? I hope I don't let you down.
I can't express how much gratitude I have for the whole Habitat for Humanity system.
I believe that's 110, if I'm not mistaken. It's in between short hair, the COVID hair, and this.
Fancy background music.
Pretend time after time is still playing in the background.
Somewhere.
I don't know all the words to it.
Yeah, did that.
Turn over, guys.
Nomination forms are due today for community service awards. If you haven't turned them in yet, turn them in. We have a St. David Paul sort on Saturday from 10 to 1. You can sign up on the website for that or the forms in your folder. Next Thursday, March 6th, we honor Diane Tilstra as our Rotarian of the Year. Please plan to be here for that. And then don't forget that ballots were mailed out to you, and they are due by Monday, March 3rd for our next slate of club directors. Raise your hand if you're president, past president of the room right now. Sure, little snapshot of 115 years. That's a lot of history, and we've got a lot more history to make within our club too. So let's be out there doing good in our community, finding those projects that help build up stronger, and also finding those new members who we want to do that work with us through the next 115 years as well. Some thank yous today. Dinesh and Duke for being here for our program. Big round of applause for them again. Sally and Jim for being our sponsors today. Randy for technical support. Dean Hanks for being our greeter and managing the mics and also selling raffle tickets. Corey for reciting the four-way test. Greg for our land acknowledgement. And Jim for being our story writer. Thanks for staying around a little bit longer today. And there's a lot of cake back there on the table still, so please don't leave cake here. Take some with you if you need to. That's everything for today. We'll see you next week when we celebrate Diane. Enjoy the magic of Rotary.